7th, Monday. Before I get into all this, I want to just say that some of these numbers could be skewed just a little bit. Like I said, we always want to take heed over the fact that we're coming out of a weekend, and sometimes the numbers just don't get to us as quickly as they should, and or as quickly as they can, I guess. But nevertheless, we are only showing 12 deaths since Friday, and 12 deaths is astronomically bad. There's no question about that. But if you'll just think about it, that's the number of people that were in the Sago mine when we lost 11 right off the get-go, and I frankly don't know the fate of the other gentleman that was there, but nevertheless, 12 is a whole lot better number than where we've been. I caution everyone, though, from the standpoint of just the fact that our numbers are getting lots better, but I caution everyone that this just could be a reporting over the weekend, and it could be much worse than that. The 6,441st death in West Virginia is a 79-year-old male from Taylor County. The 6,442nd death, a 67-year-old male from Upshur County. The 6,443rd death, a 64-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 6,444th death, a 71-year-old male from Mineral County. The 6,445th death, a 45-year-old male from Cabell County. The 6,446th death, a 64-year-old female from Nicholas County. The 6,447th death, an 82-year-old male from Hampshire County. The 6,448th death, an 89-year-old male from Upshur County. The 6,449th death, a 74-year-old female from Wood County. The 6,450th death, an 83-year-old female from Preston County. The 6,451st death, a 79-year-old female from Kanawha County. And the 6,452nd death in West Virginia is a 79-year-old female from Kanawha County. Again, 6,452 deaths in West Virginia. You can't let them just become a number. Please don't do that. Please offer up your prayers for them, a phone call if you know them, whatever it may be. Be supportive of all their loved ones. These people are hurting. These people are really hurting, their families and everything. So please don't let them become a number. Our active cases in West Virginia are 1,909. That's up a good little bit and everything, but it seems like, maybe I'm mistaken, but our active cases, I thought the other day, were down, in the 500 range. Maybe I'm mistaken about that. Maybe that was the new positive cases, but my notes here are saying this is the first day we're under 2,000 active cases in West Virginia since July the 28th, so I must have been wrong about that. But our new positive cases are at 1,085. I think that's where I had that confused. Our daily positivity rate is at 5.26. We're dropping a little bit on our cumulative rate. It'll come down really slow, but it's at 8.37. We have recovered cases of 485,000 folks in West Virginia. Our hospitalizations are at 404, and that's significantly lower. We have 100 people in the ICU units and 50 people on ventilators. We do have a gold and an orange county now in West Virginia, but we're watching and everything. Our numbers, our mapping, all look significantly better. The Biden administration has offered up the free for-home, COVID test and everything. You can go to our COVID, test.gov, and we'll show you and how to get through that and get those free home tests. And from the standpoint of N95 mask, the Biden administration also has offered up 3 free N95 masks, and they're available at the pharmacies and the community centers. I remind you over and over about the most important thing that I can tell you about is your booster shots. These vaccines have been tremendously effective, and they have been a blessing from God above in every way. But if you're out, from J&J, I think 2 months, and out from from Pfizer and Moderna, 5 months is from when you were vaccinated the last time, and you haven't gotten your booster shot, you're absolutely not protected much right now. And so you really need to do that, especially if you're 50 and older, because this disease, we know, attacks the elderly, and it can be one absolute miserable death. We don't want you to get sick, and we absolutely want you to just be able to, for us to get back to as much normalcy as we possibly can. We need you to get that booster shot. Our vaccine numbers and everything continue to still get a little bit better. We're at 71.5% of all the folks that are out there that are 18 and above, and we just, we're just going to keep telling everybody to get that booster shot. And if you haven't gotten vaccinated, you probably should think really hard about doing that, because sure as I know my name, there's a likelihood that this is not over. We feel very, very happy that summer's on the way, sunshine's on the way, better temperatures and all that kind of stuff. But with all of that, people will be outside. That makes them less likely to get in a tough situation and everything, like if we were all inside and everything. But nevertheless, we still got to be, we just got to be safe. We got to watch what we're doing and be safe. Be respectful of all wishes and freedoms that everyone has. I have not wavered. I have not wavered one bit from this, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. But nevertheless, we want to be smart. Be smart and try to be as safe as we possibly can. From the standpoint of the COVID vaccine info line, it's all up there on our website. Take advantage of all the free testing. If you're feeling the least bit bad in any way, just take advantage. It's there for you. Our long-term care facilities are down to 125 outbreaks. That's still way too many, but it's better. Our church community does not have any church outbreaks right now. Corrections, we have 105 inmate cases and 20 staff cases. Good work on corrections part. We really appreciate all they're doing. I encourage you about giving blood. Especially if you've had this dreaded disease and recovered and everything, it's been a blessing. Check with your physician to make sure that that you're a candidate to give blood. But if you're that and everything, and you can find in your heart to do so, the Red Cross and all of us would really appreciate it. From the standpoint of the rental assistance program, it's still there. There's still significant money. It's all up on our website and everything. You can absolutely take advantage of this. We'll try every way in the world we can to get you qualified if you're a renter or a landlord. And with all that and everything, it's just more money that can go into our system in West Virginia. The multiplier effect of those dollars is real. And more than anything, if we can just help some people that are struggling a little bit, we want to try to do it. Our Job Jumpstart program is up and going now. We've mimicked Oklahoma, like I've said many times, and we're going to get $1,500 to people that are going to even lower our unemployment rate even better in West Virginia. We're at historic lows right now, but if we can get just a few more people back into the workforce and everything, all of our businesses would greatly appreciate and need those people back. But more than anything, in my book, you get a person that's absolutely, just kind of feels like, well, there's nowhere for me to go and everything else like that, and they get them a job, they get a real feeling of passion and net worth and pride and everything, and they off they go, and that's really great stuff. Our investment management board, 2%, and good gracious, I don't know where these things could come from, but I'm sorry, not 2%, 0.2%. 0.2% of our investments, that board invests, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in and everything, are in some level of something that is a Russian-backed security, but it's so insignificant, it's unbelievable. Remember, it's 0.2%. It's a fifth of 1%. So 99, let me get this straight. It's 99.8% of all of our investments. in West Virginia have nothing to do with this. 99.8%. You've always heard 99.9. Well, this is 99.8. Have nothing to do with this. But, you know, what I'm asking is that we, you know, that our investment committee, you know, go and basically come together to consider a resolution which would make it basically, you know, that unacceptable that we would go forward to do anything whatsoever with any type, whether it be slight or significant in any way, do anything whatsoever with anything to do with Russia. You know, until this crisis is way long gone, you know, what's going on, and we see it over and over in nightly news. It's sadness beyond belief in my book, you know, and it's irresponsibility beyond belief. You know, we all know that all the signals that go out, and the world has to read the tea leaves, do they not? They saw us walk off, you know, from Afghanistan and leave all kinds of our people and the people that have been good to us and friends to us. They saw us absolutely just turn our back and do the things that we've done in regard to our own borders. You know, many times people have said, you know, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. I mean, and we see now the weakness that is perpetuated all across this world, and with a bad actor, you know, in Putin over there, him taking advantage of that weakness. Well, I mean, how in the world could we not have at least supplied weaponry to Ukraine months ago, and now trying to rush and do everything under the sun, and with all that's going on over there, we don't need anything to do with Russia. That's all there is to it. Russia's not the United States of America, and you're dealing with a nut job over there, and it's hard to tell what in the world could come of that. But really, I don't think that Putin is. I really don't think that he's a nut job at all. I think he's calculative, and I think he is absolutely a smart guy. And I think he sees weakness, and he sees that the United States is being run today by President Biden, who's super weak and confused and everything else under the sun, and he tries to take advantage. And he doesn't think that we'll stand up, and that we won't really stand up for what's right and what's wrong. There's not much that I can do in the state of West Virginia. You know, I can come out and say with our investment management board, if we have anything whatsoever in all of our portfolio that ties to anything with Russia, stop it. You know, and but really and truly, you talk about totally powerless. I guess I really am, but I can tell you that that I hope and pray that this doesn't escalate. I have great worries that it can, and it probably will. I have tremendous sympathy with the fact that I can't fathom. I just can't fathom that this day and time, in 2022, in this world, we think it's okay for someone to just bomb a residential neighborhood or a school or whatever it may be, hospitals or whatever, in order to drive people into total submission that they will just throw up and surrender. You know, it's really sad. It's you know, so anyway, you don't want me to go on and on and on about that and everything. The last thing I've got to, I want you to really pay close attention to me on this. You know, you put up with a lot. And in this office and everything, people from time to time criticize and say this and that and everything, and you just kind of roll with the punches. Because at the end of the day, I know with all in me that from the day I walked in the door to where things are today, this state has done really good. And I know that Toby and Edith that are out there, just the average everyday West Virginians, they're with me. And I know they're with me to the tune of 70% of them are with me. and they know I love them. They absolutely know that I've got their back. And you know what? I know they got mine too. And so I don't know why we have to put up with things like this and everything that rise to this level of wrong. And what I am getting to is Phil Kabler. Phil Kabler had been with the Charleston Gazette, and God knows, thank God, he's not now there with them and has finally retired. But throughout a lot of time, there's lots of people out there that would argue all day long that Phil Kabler's damage to West Virginia has been pretty dadgum significant. In a recent article now, Phil Kabler basically blames me and the legislature over 6,452 deaths in the state of West Virginia because per his line, I did not advocate and stand up for people to be vaccinated or wear their mask. He was just traveling recently in California, I guess, and where he thought that things just worked so well there in a state that had a recall election and people migrating out of that state like crazy. He thought things were so marvelously good there that I wish to God above that some way, somehow, he would have gone to California a long time ago. He was on a train when that was happening, and it would have been wonderful, in my book, if the train would have been hijacked and he would have been kept in California forever. But nevertheless, I've got to just say just this. There's a time in life when you got to say, okay, enough's enough. Enough's enough. And you've got to draw a line in the sand, and you've got to be big enough to stand up for what you really think are goodness and the right stuff. Now, here's the thing. Kabler's beat on me, and he's not even worthy of this level of attention. But here's the thing. He's cast many, many, many stones, and he's continued to do that and do that and do that, and he enjoys doing that. He really legitimately, significantly hurt our businesses by casting stones towards our businesses that were outrageous at times. We just took it. He really came out, and a little kid, just a beautiful young kid, a young boy, 7 years old, named Landon, foster kid, that really wanted just some level of attention on his birthday, from the governor. And I wrote him a card. And really, Kabler just attacked that whole deal. He made terrible fun of our custodians and the people that worked so hard that absolutely take care of our capital and really, literally crossed a line like you can never imagine. Made fun of their handicaps and made fun of it to the point in time, and not only did he do things to cause them confusion and trouble with their handicaps, then went and posted it on social media and made fun of it. And then came on our briefing crying, basically apologizing all over himself without any question whatsoever. The Charleston Gazette should have fired him that very day. And you know what I said? I said, look, we should forgive everyone. And without any question, we should move forward. And we should forgive. Because I really believe that's what the good book teaches us to do. Let me tell you just this. In addition to that, the next step from Phil Kabler was writing into the governor's office. We've got the emails and everything where he wrote directly to the governor's office in a rant with the foulest language that you could come up with a GD type language to the governor's office. The foulest language that you could possibly come up with on a guy that was supposedly the head news guy, for the Charleston Gazette, our state newspaper. And then if that's not enough for you, then repeatedly basically got on me because I was asking for your prayers. And I believe with all in me that God above, in this book right here, absolutely God above. And this book right here drives me in my life. And I ask for your prayers for all kinds of people every day. And I truly believe that God above is our foundation in every way in this country. He has come back to that. It was to basically trash me more and say that he knows there is no God. He's a true atheist. He is absolutely trouble everywhere you can turn. And now we cross our line, don't we? Now, basically, when I traveled all over this state, begging people, promoting in every way for people to be vaccinated at every turn. When I told you absolutely over and over and over about wearing your mask and how important it was, and have given every single thing that I have to tell you that absolutely I do believe you should be vaccinated. I do believe at times when things were really tough, because I could only go on what was coming to me from all of our experts, that wearing masks probably did save a lot of lives. We now learn many things, that the N95 mask is really the only mask that probably really worked. But we didn't know that at that time. But with all of that, absolutely for this man to say that I did not promote the vaccines or the mask, I surely did. But without question, I also did one other thing, and that is this, and I stand steadfast by this to my grave, and that is just simply one thing, and that is just this, is our freedoms, our individual freedoms brought us in this country to where we are and who we are. And absolutely, we should be respectful of that all across the board. Did I think you should be vaccinated? Sure. Do I think my feelings should be imposed on everyone and with mandates? No way. No way. But now here's exactly what I'm going to do, because I've always wanted to be super transparent. I am absolutely going to contact Marshall Reynolds and Doug Reynolds today. And I'm going to tell them today that I am entering suit against the Charleston Gazette and Phil Kabler. They need to handle this situation. They need to handle this situation for sure. And if this situation persists and he continues to do the kind of things he's doing, we'll deal with it in court. Absolutely, without any question. I think the law clearly says that it has to be outrageous for some attack on a public official to warrant that public official to be able to enter suit. The only thing bad about this is he'll get some more attention. But now just think about this man, an atheist, a man with the worst vulgar mouth under the sun, a man that makes fun of foster children, a man that makes fun of our custodians and their handicaps here, a man that absolutely prints stuff that knowingly is so outrageously a lie, it's unbelievable. And to let him go on. See, I'm not in that boat. I'm just not in that boat. I'm not in the boat to just idly sit by and let people do stuff that I know is wrong. Now, I'll put up with a lot, and I've put up with an awful, awful lot. Now we'll see what the game is, big boy. That's all there is to it. We'll see what the game is, because we will sue you individually, and we will sue the Charleston Gazette after we have a discussion with two people that I really dearly in my heart think the world of, and that's Marshall Reynolds and Doug Reynolds. They're really, really good people. And how on this earth that they can put up with something like this, I'll never know. I'll never know. But because you work there, we will sue you individually, and we will sue the Charleston Gazette. That's all I got right now.
All right, thank you, Governor. Our full panel of experts is available for questions today. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with the WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. I wanted to follow up on my question last week about what's next for the National Guard in the pandemic response. I know, their mission in the hospitals is going to be ending at the end of this week. Could you give us a little bit more information about where we're going to be reallocating those folks? Thank you.
General, please, if you could answer that, please.
Yes, sir, Governor. So, Charles, as Governor stated last week, we had worked with hospitals. The 11th is the last day for National Guard personnel in the hospitals. The orders for National Guardsmen and women for pandemic relief is coming to an end at the end of the month, with the exception of some small extensions for logistic drawdown and other things. So the National Guard will be transitioning in large part out of its COVID role as federal government no longer funds National Guard personnel. And there'll be a series of activities that the Guard does a great job with. General Crane and his team will be leading efforts for working those transitions out, to include, we've had a number of hospitals interested in hiring National Guard personnel. There will be some job fairs and other things that will go on. And as the governor stated on Friday, the National Guard will prepare for what its next mission is, whether it may be at home or abroad. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next to Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. Governor, as a public figure, you're well aware that you are a big target. And as you mentioned in your opening remarks, it takes a rather unusual set of circumstances for people in your position to succeed in these types of court cases by having to prove malice and several other factors. Can you specifically go into what is spurring you, of course, after your conversation with the Reynolds, should you decide to proceed? What are you specifically alleging that Mr. Kabler is doing that would rise to the level of a court case where you and your attorneys believe you have a chance to prevail? Thank you, sir.
Well, Kenny, first of all, I think we're way premature, and I do want to have a conversation with Marshall and Doug, because they're good people, and they surely don't deserve, to have to defend lawsuits and everything else like that. And I've been sued lots of times of big target. From time to time, we have to sue other people and everything because, but that is extremely minimal compared to the number of times probably we've been sued. But with all that being said, Kenny, I just don't believe. I just do not believe, really and truly, in allowing people, forever to do stuff, because you're concerned about the political ramifications. We expect people to at least remotely try to tell the truth. There's times when you've been tough on me, but really in all that, I can always count on the fact that Kenny Bass will always tell the truth about stuff. Now, from the standpoint of all this, Kenny, there is volumes and volumes and volumes of stuff. The reality is, just for whatever it may be, nobody's ever challenged Phil Kabler. I did so, and then he continues to write the most absurd stuff in the world. Kenny, I am really hung up on the fact that, I guess in life, we all have buttons to push that really, when you push that button, it's just too many buttons. But, from my standpoint, when you push a button that is negatively, impacting God or negatively impacting children, it's really bad. Kenny, if I could go down in my life and stand for three things: standing for the truth, and this is a typical another lie from Phil Kabler about, how I've stood for the vaccines or whatever it may be. That's a lie. And secondly, if I could go down in my life, well, first and foremost, if I could go down in my life and said, I'm going to stand absolutely upright and steadfast for God, I'm going to do that, Kenny. That's all there is to it. And I'm going to stand for kids too. And surely the disabled, I'm going to stand for them too. And to let this man just do that kind of stuff, You know, it gets back to the whole thing. You know, you're not much of a frog if you're not proud of your own pond. You're not much of a man if you're not willing to stand up, take on things that absolutely maybe nobody else would ever do. You know, nobody would do them because they're, you know, you're a political figure. It's not right, Kenny. This world has gotten, in my opinion, to this way. And that's all there is to it. Doesn't matter what's right, doesn't matter what's wrong, it matters what we can get by with. Well, that's not me. That's not me. And so at the end of the day, Kenny, yeah, you know, there's a whole lot that's got to be done. First of all, I've got to talk to two people that are real friends, and that's Marshall Reynolds and Doug Reynolds. Good people and real friends. You know, there's no point in having this. This man should be disgraced. That's all there is to it.
All right, thanks, Kenny. Next to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good morning, Governor. Good morning, panel. Governor, in West Virginia, gas prices are rising very significantly. In states around West Virginia, the price has gone over $4 a gallon. Do you have any tea leaves that you're reading to tell us how high that is going to go? And at what point do you consider perhaps making a gas tax cut that would help families in West Virginia deal with this onslaught? Thank you.
Paul, the good part about the state of West Virginia where we are today is we have surpluses, and I would be open to anything that could help our folks in West Virginia from the standpoint of some mechanism to be able to address this significant impact and the significant rising of the gas prices. You know, Paul, like I said, thank God above, we have the surpluses and the state is doing as well as the state's doing. That's you know, from that standpoint, we're able to continue to do things to help our folks in West Virginia, where if we were dead on our back, we couldn't do. The next thing is just this. I really believe that those people that are benefiting from higher gas prices or whatever it may be, you know, whether it be the natural gas prices, whether it be coal prices, whether it be, you know, oil prices, people that are benefiting, I wish to goodness that they would stand up and try to say, well, we're going to give back a little bit. We're going to do a little bit more. It's just what I said over and over and over about the tiering of severance taxes. But Paul, I would be absolutely for trying to help our folks in West Virginia in any way that I possibly can. But Paul, here's the problem. How high are these gas prices going to go? You know, what West Virginia may very well be able to do, let's say we could cut the gas tax or whatever like that, 10 cents or whatever. Let's just say we could do something like that. You know, I mean, Paul, sure it helps, you know, sure it helped, you know, but from the standpoint of really help, Paul, it's not going to make much difference. These gas prices, you know, are jumping to the tune of, I don't know, 7 or 8 cents maybe a day, you know, and Paul, where they're going to go, in Jim's opinion, you know, what I think is going to happen is just this. We're either going to have to sit idly by and watch all kinds of kids and women and schools and everything be bombed and the loss of life be unbelievable. And then we're going to have to gamble that after the loss of life in this poor country is just beaten down, that maybe Putin will stop then. And what if he doesn't? Then if he makes one more move on the chessboard, then we're involved, are we not? And we're involved in the potential of what people would say is World War III. I don't think really in Putin's heart he wants that. I don't think he really wants to entangle with the United States of America. I don't think he wants that at all. I think he's taking advantage of weakness and absolutely believes that who knows if we'll do anything. Who knows if he moves into Poland or whatever and takes Poland, who knows if we'll do anything, you know. But really and truly, Paul, I think, do you realize this? And we should know this. Do you realize, and our coal producers are wonderful people, crying out loud, my family's just that. You know, and imagine this. Imagine when everything was going completely haywire, 55 coal companies in this state took, or in this nation took bankruptcy, and I didn't. And it made it really, really tough. And we just continue to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and try as hard as we can to just make it. You know, that's what my family is doing right now. Just trying to still make it with prices like you can't imagine. You know, now, a lot of folks decided to take bankruptcy. They cleared their balance sheet, and now they're making so much money that you can't even fathom it. They don't like me talking about that. They say, well, you're a coal man. Why in the world would you talk about that? You know, why would you do that? And I say, because it's the truth. It's just the truth. You know, but Paul, in that, steam coal prices that historically had been in the neighborhood of, when I was trying to tier the severance tax on steam coal, Paul, and on metallurgical coal and on oil and gas, steam coal was trading for $35 a ton. This morning, steam coal that was trading for $35 a ton at one time is trading in Rotterdam. You know, Rotterdam, think about this, Paul. It is trading for $433 a ton. Paul. Now that's a metric ton. That's with freight to our port, with ocean freight to Rotterdam. But Paul, prices are unbelievable. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? I mean, we could awaken to the fact that day after tomorrow they double. We could awaken to the fact that really and truly gas prices could not stop until they're, you know, $7, $8, $9 a gallon. You know, Paul, the problem with just up and doing something, we can do something and throw a carrot or a teeny bone that may help a little bit, but really and truly, we don't know what's going to happen here, Paul. We do not know. And where it could go and how bad it could get. If logic doesn't prevail, and it doesn't look like it's prevailing surely right now, this could get really bad. You know, I don't know how to answer it any more point blank than just that. I wish to goodness that all of our energy producers, all of my family, all of us together could do more, could come together and say, we're going to do more. We're going to do something. We're not going to ask for more. We're going to do more. We're going to step up and do something. You know, from the standpoint of our state, I'm ready. I'm ready to step up and try to do something. You know, from the standpoint of where this is, I promise you that just this is once it's over, prices will adjust, and they'll adjust downward very, very quickly. But getting from now to when it's over, I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't know where we're going to go. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next, we'll go to Evan Bevins with Ogden Newspapers.
Thank you. Governor, you mentioned the very small percentage of state investments that were related to Russian-backed funds. What is the next step for the Investment Management Board? Are you directing them to, cease those investments, and how how would that take place? Thank you.
Evan, to be perfectly honest, what's happened is the investment value of those dollars has fallen out of the sky because the ruble has, incinerated with what's going on in the Russian economy, the same. And so, but we are calling an emergency meeting for tomorrow, and they'll vote on a resolution. And from the standpoint of to not do anything going forward whatsoever. And from the standpoint of divesting of them, you can't do anything with it now because everything's frozen on that end anyway. So they surely will not invest in the future in any way. And like I said, it is insignificant, and it really won't matter, because 99.8% of all of our investments have nothing to do with this whatsoever. But it's just come to my attention, and I'm going to do anything and everything I can, to at least push back and let West Virginia's voice be heard. But there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing we can do about the investment in itself right now. All we can do is say whatever we do not make any investment whatsoever that could be connected to Russia in any way going forward. And then we just sit back and wait, and as soon as this crisis or this terrible situation could get over, we'll be able to get out of this, and I'm sure we'll be able to get out of it fine. But because, like I said, from the standpoint of monetarily or impacting West Virginia, it doesn't impact us in any way. But it just, I just think that we got to do something to stand up. I mean, if you just, and I don't know how you do it. I don't know how in the world that we just, as Americans or whatever, look and see those folks, loading on those buses and little kids crying about their dads or their granddads or whomever it may be, or their mom or whatever, and just step back and say, well, that's not us, let's just go do our thing. And we sure can't get drug into a World War III, and I get all that and everything, but it's just bad. It's a bad situation.
All right, thanks, Evan. Next to Katie Rae with WDVM.
Hi, Governor. Hi, panel. My boss, Mark Cram, does give his wishes and his greetings. So the question that I do have is, Governor, you were talking about earlier this meeting that vaccination rates are going up, but also that the West Virginia National Guard will be removed from hospitals and, I guess, stopping COVID aid in their mission. But so is the strategy for West Virginia shifting to more mitigation rather than, prevention and vaccination efforts?
Well, Katie, let me say this. In regard to vaccination, I'll continue to tell everybody that these vaccines are incredibly safe. We absolutely should all be vaccinated in my eyes. We absolutely want to be protective of everyone's rights and respectful of all that. But if you just step back and you got to listen to the science and pay attention. And, from the standpoint of where I'm at, the vaccine's super safe, vaccine's super effective, and really and truly the downside is almost nothing in taking the vaccine. If you don't take the vaccine, the downside's 6,452 folks that I've read the names. There's no question 6,452 people have got COVID and died. I don't think I've ever been told of someone that has been vaccinated and died because of the vaccination. Now, I've been told, of people, that allege part of that, but I've never been told that by someone that is one of, Dr. Marsh or somebody, Dr. Amjad. I've never been told that. I've been told that 6,452 people have died in West Virginia from COVID. Now, there's no guarantee you take the vaccine, you're not going to get COVID. There's a lot of guarantee that if you take the vaccine, your odds are 1,000 million times better than somebody that doesn't have it if you get COVID. Now, from the standpoint of where we go from here, I think really and truly Dr. Marsh can answer that better than I. If we transition our National Guard or whatever, in different ways. Whatever happens with our National Guard, bottom line is just this, whenever we call, they'll be there. They'll be there no matter what it is. They're the best of the best. But Dr. Marsh, maybe you got something else to add to that, please?
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Katie. Indeed, the National Guardsmen and women have been heroes in this pandemic response. And given the surge of cases that we saw during the peak of the Omicron pandemic component of the pandemic, the National Guard served a very critical purpose in going into overwhelmed hospitals and being able to provide them with the support to be able to function with more capacity and with better services. Now that we see our hospitalizations dropping, it is important for us to liberate the National Guard for other missions that they have to do. As the governor said, Katie, we continue to push strongly for vaccinations and boosters. We know from all the data all over the world for the Omicron phase of the pandemic response, as well as other phases, that full vaccination and boosting makes a huge difference. And in countries, particularly that vaccinate and boost the older part of their population, they see a substantial reduction in deaths and hospitalizations in countries that don't. And just to put this into context, the US is number 67 among all countries in getting full vaccination and number 54 among all countries of seeing the booster happen. So we still have opportunity there. We also are continuing to learn the lessons from our pandemic response and make sure that we continue to be ready in case COVID does make a different turn than it is made to date. And we see a different variant form of COVID-19 that can threaten the populace of West Virginia, our country, or the world, and we will be ready to respond to that. Certainly, as the weather gets better and people go outside, that will help with reduction and spread of COVID-19. And we also see that nationally, the transmission rate of Omicron is going down and down and down, which is a good thing for us. And we see that number coming down in West Virginia as well. Remember, we're just a few weeks behind the rest of the country. So we'll continue to plan and to be ready for whatever the virus does. But as the governor said, we also want to make sure that we are following the data as we have been doing, and we are liberating some of the mitigation rules and strategies as is being recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and other parts of our national COVID response, so that we are staying in step with not creating new challenges for our state by protecting on one hand, but not overwhelming with different processes that may not be absolutely necessary at this point. But we do recommend that each individual take their own precautions in hand when they go out. And the older you are and the more immunocompromised you are, the more you should absolutely be boosted, and you should protect yourself with consideration of wearing a high quality face mask when you're indoors around people you don't live with routinely. Thank you.
And thank you. Just a really quick follow-up question. Sorry. Governor, there has not been a lot of vaccine incentive programs going on lately. Do you think that that could be another way to, push younger West Virginians over that hump of getting their vaccine or even their booster?
Now, Katie, what was the first part of your question? There's not, I didn't hear the first
There's
part.
not many vaccine incentives that have been going on lately.
What? Did you say there's not been vaccine incentives?
Like the baby doll program.
It's not coming through here. I'm really having a hard time hearing.
Governor, she's asking if there's not many vaccine incentive programs like the baby dog program.
Oh, Katie, I disagree with you. We've tried to incentivize the young people in thousands of different ways. Through all the baby dog giveaways, to all the scholarships, to all good gracious, even we started out with savings bonds, and if you're asking, if I'm going to try to do more, I guess you never say never, but we're trying to do the best we possibly can do, Katie, from the standpoint of reading the tea leaves and trying to stay ahead of the curve. It looked like we were really trying to get our kids vaccinated, and we went out with a baby dog campaign, in regard to the kids. Went to school after school after school after school trying to get them vaccinated. And then this thing turned again, and it looked like it moved from the possibility of giving our kids a hard time to absolutely a lot more of our elderly people were dying. And so we pivoted back that way a little bit with our senior centers, and we've still got some real work to do there to award those senior centers, that got per capita wise, got more people vaccinated. But Katie, we're just going to watch it, and and hopefully we're on the downhill slide now, and hopefully the weather and everything will be better and be better on for the days to come.
All right, thank you, Katie. Governor, I'll turn it back to you to close out.
Well, I really don't have anything else to say other than the fact that just this, and I really mean this. West Virginians, what's made you really great, is the thing that has made you the very, very best that you are in every way is you stood up. You stood up, and you went to war after war for us. From the standpoint of military commitment, you've always stood up for what you think is best, and I commend you in every way, and ask you, don't stand up on just some frivolous whatever, but stand up for what you think is right, and it makes you, it's your fabric, and it's surely mine. And so as we go forward, we're going to continue to be great West Virginians. We're going to get through this pandemic. Our economy is robust, and it's going to just get better and better and better as we find ways with the legislature to work together and provide more and more and more great opportunity to the state of West Virginia. I thank our Senate President Blair. I thank our Speaker of the House, Speaker Hanshaw, and all those on both sides of the aisle, and with our legislature that do the great work, and I congratulate them. They're almost through their session, and I congratulate them for all the hard work and commitment, and the fact that they're away from their families and doing it for not very much money. And so with all that being said, I just say,